Welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. It's a glorious day here in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains. A perfect early spring day. No wind, blue skies, tons of sunshine. The snow that's left is melting, and it doesn't get much better than this. So I've got some really super exciting news. If you remember, last week I was having some problems getting a bid from the plumbing contractor. But this week, everything changed. You're not going to believe it. So welcome back. So incredible how these things happen. I just don't get it sometimes, but I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to go with the flow. So if you remember last week, I was trying to get this bid from a plumber, and he'd looked at the house over a month ago, and I'd been contacting him. He told me at least 3 times that he was going to get me a bid, and I was just super frustrated. So I ended up reaching out to Paolo, a guy whose apartments I had rented. He has several properties around the area he rents. And he's the guy who'd recommended Silvio to do the plaster on the ceilings, to remove the plaster from the ceilings and restore the plaster in the whole house. So I'd reached out to him and I said, hey, do you have a plumber that you've worked with in the past? Because I would really love to get a different bid. I'm having a hard time trying to get bids from the one that my realtor Paula had recommended. So he says, yeah, I have a whole team. And I said, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I have a team from Spain that's coming over here this spring. I bought a new property. They're going to work on it, restore it for me, another rental. So he said, if you want, you can use them to work on your house. And I said, are you really? How much do they cost? So he started explaining the cost. He's like, hey, do you have a minute to talk? I said, sure. So he calls me up. We chat about it for a while. And he said, if you want, I'll go take a look at the house. I've done enough of these now. I can give you a good bid. They're not going to be here for a couple of weeks, but I can take a look at it and give you an estimate on how much it might cost to do what you want. So I said, great. Could you, my realtor's name is Paula. He's like, yeah, I know her. I've bought a couple properties from her. So I'm like, wow, okay, small world. So I tell Paula, hey, Paolo would like to look at the house. So she takes Paolo over to the house. He walks through. The first thing he says is, I had no idea this place is for sale. I would have bought it immediately. This is what he tells Paula, and she tells me. So right off the bat, I'm like, wow, that's a really incredible endorsement on the place I bought. If Paolo, who's been doing, real estate in the area for a while, feels that strongly about it, I'm like, that's a really good sign. So then, we keep talking about it, and he calls me afterwards and we're chatting, and I said, hey, did you get a chance to look at the place? He said, yeah, Paulo only had like 45 minutes, so I didn't get a lot of time to look at it. But he says, I think we could do it for this much, and he gives me a dollar amount. And I said, well, that's a little bit higher than I wanted to spend. And he said, well, listen, we can spend whatever you want. He's like, it's just up to you what you want to fix and how nice you want it done. And, I've done places on a lower budget before, and then in a few years, I got to come back and kind of remodel again and refresh it. So it's up to you. He's like, we can work with any budget you want. And he said, if you want, I'll manage the project for you. And he's Italian. He speaks English fluently, speaks Spanish. His crew from Spain is coming over. Everything just all of a sudden clicked. And he's like, I know the mayor here in the town, and I get permits from them. I've worked with them before. Just kind of everything seemed to click, right? So I said, hey, what about the rooftop patio? Did you get a chance to go up there? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's probably the best view in the entire city. He's like, it's incredible. So we have to fix that up. We have to make that more accessible for guests or whatever. So what he was kind of thinking of is that I might want to rent out the whole place. he said we can fix it up. We can rent out the whole place. Maybe add a third bedroom or bathroom. So that there's an extra bathroom. That would make it more appealing to renters. You could charge more for it. Maybe take the attic, finish a space up there, make that into another bedroom. So he had these other ideas, and I told him, I said, well, really what I want to do, Paulo, is I just want to fix up the 2 apartments. So there's a bathroom at each apartment. I want to keep the first floor apartment for myself, restrict that to myself, not rent it out, only rent out the second floor. And then I'd like to get the rooftop patio fixed up. And he said, okay, yeah, no problem. He said, you probably want to do the electrical because the electrical is probably 50 years old, so we'll need to update that. I'm not sure about the plumbing. We'll have to test it to see if you need to update that or not. But he said, let me take a better look at it when I have some more time, and I can give you a better estimate. And he said, if you can come over here, and take a look at it with me, then we can work on an estimate. And I said, well, I would like to be there before you guys start work. And he said, absolutely. He's like, I don't want to do this over video chat and trying to explain stuff to you and make sure we're on the same path and show you what we're doing. He's like, I'd like you to be here. So long story short, I said, let's do it. I'll fly over there. We'll work out a budget. Your guys can start. And he's like, I think it'll take 2 months and we'll have everything done. So there's 3 guys coming, his crew from Spain. They can do just about everything. And then we've got Silvio to do the plaster and all the other stuff. And so all of a sudden, holy crap. It's like, it's happening. So I booked a ticket yesterday. So I'm leaving in 3 weeks to go over to Italy, and we're starting the project. So it's incredible. He's asking for a 10% fee of the project for management, which I'm happy to pay. I think that sounds really reasonable, especially considering his experience, not in just remodeling, but in that specific region, in that town, in fact. So, he's got properties all throughout Monferrato, and we've talked a couple times already now. Initially, he called me. We talked for like an hour. Super nice guy. And I told you I met him in person last fall when I was over there, when Cuba and I were staying at one of his places and it wasn't quite ready. And he came down to the cafe we're at, and we talked for like half hour, 45 minutes. His first place that I stayed in was his personal place. That's the first place he had there. So he still had books from all his travels around the world and a bunch of personal items. And through those, I got to see that we really have a lot in common. He's traveled around the world. I've traveled around the world. We both kind of have the same outlook on life, I think. And then after he looked at the house, we talked for another hour on the phone. Really incredibly nice. I just had a question for him the other day, and he says, do you have time to talk right now? And I said, yeah. So we did a video call, and just super nice guy, really relaxed, really confident. He's been sending me information on the project already. You can tell he's putting a lot of thought into this already. And he's excited. So I said, why were you guys coming over? He said, well, I bought a place, they're going to work on it. But if we can give them some more work while they're here and they can work on your place first and afterwards work on mine, that's perfect. So yeah, incredible. So instead of me trying to get one contractor to do the plaster, another contractor to do the plumbing, another contractor to do the electrical, another contractor to do whatever, the metal work for the staircase to the rooftop patio. He's got this crew, they can do it all. And he's already got contacts for permits. If we need geometra, I think is the term in Italian, but that's more for real estate. But anyway, he said like a surveyor or someone like that to come in and kind of look at it and give some official information. Maybe that's needed for permits for certain things. He said we can do that. It might be a little bit extra, but if we don't need them, then we won't use them. So, already, he's already talking about materials. He's already talking about timelines. It's incredible. Really, really amazing. And, my buddy Cuba in Prague was telling me the other day, he's like, man, you're a lucky bastard. And I was kind of giving him a hard time. I'm like, listen, you don't just get luck, you make luck, right? So you put yourself out there, whatever. But these situations, I do feel incredibly lucky, incredibly fortunate. I rent an apartment in the town. I end up meeting the owner. We end up hitting it off. I end up asking him some questions. he says, hey, why don't you use my plaster guy, Silvio? He's an artist. He's incredible. And then, the plumber stuff I'm trying to figure out on my own. And I reach out to ask him a question, and he's like, man, I got a crew coming. Let's just use them. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So just boom, One of the things that I said in my last video is that I was kind of mentally preparing to maybe not even go to Italy this spring if I couldn't get quotes from the plumber or couldn't get people lined up. And so I think that's the other reason why I really haven't posted a bunch of videos in the last couple months, was because I was kind of mentally preparing myself to not go, to like maybe it's not going to happen this year. Maybe this is going to be a little more prolonged project than I thought. So I think part of that was me kind of distancing myself from the project or from the concept of the YouTube channel and posting stuff all the time. So I decided to get back into it last week. And lo and behold, this happened. So yeah, hey, come along for the ride. It's going to be incredible. There's going to be so much progress quick. In fact, I'm going to have to maybe start doing 2 videos a week, or just kind of push them back to make it kind of more continuous experience, once a week. But in any event, it's going to be really fun. You're going to see a lot of changes quickly. And yeah, it's really exciting. So if this indeed does happen and it works, and let's say it's done in a couple of months, that means I can start renting out the second unit too. And this is the second part of this process with Paolo that's really incredible. He has his own management company. Basically, he has his own people that manage his rentals in the region. Like I said, I think he has 10 rentals, and he has his own crew that does all that stuff. So he said, if you want me to do your rental management for you, he's like, I'll be happy to. I just charge 5%. They'll take care of everything from, cleaning, laundry, getting things ready, listing it, communicating with the person renting, pretty much everything. So basically, once it's ready, he can just take over that second apartment or on the second floor and just start renting it out. And he already, has given me some great information, feedback kind of. He's like, you really want to make it inviting and warm, and the colors are really important that you paint the walls. And, I've stayed at his place, and I told him that I just painted my house, the whole interior, at the end of last year. And every color I picked was just wrong by just this much. It was like, you get a sample, you look at it, you're like, this is it for sure. Then you paint the whole wall and you're like, I don't like this. So if I can use colors that Paolo's already used to paint my place, I'm all for it. It's really great. So, there's all these things already that just are fitting in like a puzzle piece that just are making sense. So I'm super excited, if you can't tell. And I'm just really excited for moving forward on the project and this whole thing. And I'm really looking forward to hanging out with Paolo and learning more about his experiences and, and just, I don't know, just everything. I'm just excited. And this is why I did it. This is why I wanted to buy a place in Italy. And this is why I wanted to fix a place up, and why I wanted to meet locals and talk to people from the area. So it's just incredible. So, and I asked Paola, I said, hey, are you familiar with Paolo? Because earlier when I'd mentioned that I had a guy for doing the plaster, I said, it's a guy named Silvio that works for a guy by the name of Paolo that owns some properties around here and rents them out. And she's like, oh, I know Paolo. If Silvio works for Paolo, he's good. He only uses the best guys. So that's a pretty incredible endorsement. And Paula also said, when I told her I was thinking about maybe working with him on the project, she said, I don't know him personally, but he's got a really good reputation. I've worked with him a little bit in the past, and he's got a great reputation and seems like a great person. So, that's a great endorsement from Paula, because I trust her completely. She's been nothing but amazing in the whole process of looking for property and buying something. So, yeah, there you go. There's the update. There's excitement. There's the new news. So there's probably a bunch of other stuff that I was going to say and I forgot because I was so excited. So I'll put them in the next week's video. But I just wanted to share this with you guys now. And if you have any comments, please post them here. If you have anything you want to say, I'd love to hear from you. Please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. Click on the little bell and to get notifications when I upload new videos. And as I mentioned before, I do have memberships where you can join my channel. You pay a small monthly fee and you get access to some extra content. So I'm going to have a lot of remodeling content, and I'm not going to be able to put it in videos every week. So there's a lot of it I think I'm just going to put in for members. So if you want to see more than what I'm putting on here each week, please join. And not only that, but whatever I get from you guys joining my channel, I'm going to put directly into this house. So it's not going to be cheap, this remodeling. It's probably a little more than I wanted to spend, but I think I just had to do it. I mean, all the benefits of Paolo's crew, of him managing the project, of him using his experience in the region. Already one other quick thing he mentioned was, I said, I'm thinking about maybe getting the digital nomad visa that would allow me to stay longer. And he said, well, if you own property, now you can stay longer. I said, what? I've looked this up. I never found that. And in fact, people said that's not the case. And he said, no, I have friends from New York that own a place here. And the wife comes and stays for 5 or 6 months. When your visa is about to expire, just go talk to the mayor. He'll sign off and extend your visa. So I've never heard that. I'm going to follow up on that, obviously. Paolo said he would send me some information about that as well. So these are the things that you can only learn from talking to people and talking to people that are there, whether it be other expats or other Italians and people that live there, or just the whole community. So it's really important to just network and talk and just bring up something. You never know. Maybe they don't know, but maybe they do have an experience like what Paolo mentioned. So that would be incredible. If I don't need to get the digital nomad visa and I can come and just stay longer, that would be phenomenal. So anyway, lots of new exciting stuff happening, and there's going to be a lot more in the very near future. So stay tuned, subscribe, and post comments. Please let me know what's going on with you guys and what you're thinking. So once again, thanks so much, you guys, and I'll be in touch soon.